Hello viewers, this is another thrilling episode of your TV show, Daily Trend on New World TV. And today I've been joined by my host,
Ivy Conscient.
And Ajwata.
And we will be discussing about an important issue about the environment, health. And the first segment, we will discuss about the environmental pollution. And the second segment, we will also discuss about global warming. I am the host for today, Belinda Lawson. And we shouldn't forget this program comes on every Thursday at 9:10 a.m. and 4:10 p.m. And you can catch a repeat on Saturday, 9:10 a.m. and 4:10 p.m. After this commercial break, we will discuss about our topic.
Welcome back from the short break. This segment will talk about our health and then our environment. And under this, we are going to talk about environmental pollution. When we say health, it simply means our physical well-being, being free from any sickness or any disease. And when we talk about our environment, we mean the surrounding in which we find ourselves.
Yeah, and environmental pollution is the contamination of the physical and the biological components of the earth. And under that, we have a lot of types of environmental pollution, such as air pollution, noise pollution, water and land pollution. And under the air pollution is the release of harmful substance or chemicals into the atmosphere, such as nitrogen dioxide and some of the chemicals, such as also chlorine, into the environment. And this caused a lot of health issue to the physical being. And also we have water pollution, chemicals that have been used for fishing in our environment, and also waste from our homes are being dumped into our water bodies, yes, and also open defecating into our water bodies do cause a problem to the environment and to our health. So we have to try and stop all these things by our human activities.
Yeah, another pollution that we can also look at is land pollution, and then we can also look at the noise pollution. With land pollution, we can see all sorts of waste being dumped on our lands, which is causing a great harm. And then with the noise also, we see people listening to music in high volume, which is actually affecting our hearing at the long run.
Okay, and then the land pollution, we can also look at deforestation, which is cutting down trees, which also destroys our land, and then soil erosion too. There are certain activities that we do which destroys the surface of the earth. Before we continue, I would like us to watch a little video on environmental pollution.
Okay, as we can all see, we have people fishing in this water, and we have children swimming in this water, and this water has been polluted by the waste from our houses. We are the cause of all these things, and so we are trying to prevent it by cleaning up the water maybe every month or each and every day, and educating people around about water pollution. And we can also see smokes from big industries moving into the air. That causes, yes.
You see, we can also see a child who was just sent to the hospital just because of a respiratory problem. Yes, true. As a result of the smoke that we release into the atmosphere.
Yeah. So,
and then one way in which we can prevent all this is educating the public. I think most of the time we have to use protective gears like nose mask to prevent us from getting health problems.
Yeah, especially with our hearing.
Yeah.
And also, if we are going to make this waste and then ourselves come back to clean them, why don't we try to get away with this waste?
By providing dustbins around our houses, industries, and by preventing industries, the amount of smoke that moves into the air should be reduced by industry, especially the wood industries, the plastics, and other industries.
Yeah, the soap industries also emits these gases which are harmful to our health.
Yeah.
And then we should also stop littering around, because that also causes these water pollution and then land pollution.
What can we do as individuals to help, curb these activities?
One way I would say is, as human beings, we have to wise up. It's not everywhere that we can litter around. When we see a dustbin, you drop your waste in it, because as we litter around, it goes into the gutter, it chokes them. When it rains, then it overflows. And that's what causes this malaria and then cholera and other diseases.
I think even if you don't find dustbins anywhere close to you, it's a rubbish you made. Let's say you went out, you bought water, you're done drinking. So you can fold the sachet in a particular way that you can put in your bag, somewhere in your bag, so that when you get closer to a dustbin, you can actually drop it. Instead of putting it on the ground, when it rains, it now washes it to the drains. The drains are choked, and then it leads to flooding, which affects us in the future.
And we should also practice afforestation. Whenever we cut down trees, we should try planting new ones to replace the ones we've cut.
Because we know that trees help us humans a lot, because the trees are the ones that take in the carbon dioxide that we exhale into the atmosphere, and then they rather give us the oxygen that we can also breathe, and it helps our respiratory system as well.
Viewers who would like to take a commercial break will be back. Stay tuned.
Welcome from the break. In this segment, you're going to talk about global warming. And when we talk about global warming, we're looking at the increase in the trend of average temperature of the Earth. Let's use this scenario to explain how global warming happens. And so when the sunlight gets to the Earth, there is this heat that hits the Earth. And this heat is supposed to find a way to escape back into the space. But then because of the gases because of the activities of human beings have been emitted into the skies or the atmosphere, these gases trap this heat, which is supposed to find its way into the space, which is called the greenhouse effect. These gases form a form of blankets, which is in between the atmosphere and then the land. So it actually traps the heat, which is supposed to go back into the space. So now the heat is saturated on the surface of the land, which causes the heat that we are feeling now. Human beings suffocate as a result of this heat.
And then we have to also note that global warming is the major aspect of climate change, as we are saying right now. And then global warming is mainly human caused.
And we even forget we have causes, and causes as burning of fossil fuels. And this is the release of carbon dioxide, such as from these activities, oil and gas. And to prevent this, we must reduce the amount of generation of electricity from these gases. And we should also increase the amount of electricity we generate from solar and wind.
Yes. And then another cause of this global warming is deforestation. Deforestation simply means cutting down trees. And then as human beings, we depend on trees and plants to live longer, because they give us air to breathe. So when we cut down trees or we burn down our bushes, it becomes hard, because that's when the oxygen which is supposed to be released into the atmosphere is being trapped. In order to prevent this, we have to plant more trees as we cut down the trees for our other
Daily
purposes.
activities.
Yes.
Yeah, so looking at the causes, we know mainly is from human activity. That's the anthropogenic factor. And then we have the natural factor as well. We can have the volcanic eruption, and we can have the earthquake, which also lead to global warming. But major is from we human beings, as you've already said. Yeah, so some of our activities, like the heavy industries that we are having, producing soap, plastics, and other things. Yeah. If we are able to reduce the volume of smoke that is emitted into the atmosphere, it will reduce global warming as well. And if we are looking at this greenhouse effect thing, if we're able to reduce this, then now the gases which is now forming as a blanket, not allowing this heat which hits the earth to find its way back into the space, cooling the land. That is when now we are experiencing a great heat from the sun, which is making us suffocate. Now we are trying to find ways of making our lives comfortable by buying air conditionings like AC, the fans, so that our life will be comfortable in our rooms.
And but another effect of this global warming is death, because as you are saying, we will suffocate. There are other people out there with diseases like asthma. So if you are suffocating, you find it difficult to breathe, and then eventually you die. So there's loss of life, and then we can say loss of properties, because
the flooding,
and then the whole place is dry, and then when there's bush burning, the fire can spread at any time, and then there will be loss of properties too.
Yes. And then because of this great heat that is coming up, because the heat is not able to find its way into the space, now the Antarctica, the very cold zone in the world, is now melting. Yes. And so it's also affecting animal life, like the polar bears who are able to survive in that area are now forced to move from these areas to other places, and it's also affecting their life, their place of inhabit, and then it's also affecting the food chain, because now they're also moving far from human beings, where we cannot also rely on them for meat, because there are some people, the Eskimos who live there, they also rely on that as their meat. So if they move further from them, it means that it's going to affect our food chain as well. Mm-hmm. And then these ice that is melting into our seas, if the sea level is increased, it means that there's going to be flooding.
Yeah, exactly.
And buildings are going to be destroyed. Properties, just as you said, are going to be destroyed as well.
And loss of life.
Yes.
Too. Yeah. From what I got from what we just discussed, there are ways that we can prevent all these. But then if we human beings want change, it has to come from us first. You have to stop littering, you have to stop making unnecessary noises, and then you have to learn to go to certain areas where we know the smoke wouldn't affect other people around us. So as human beings, you have to be disciplined, we have to wise up, and then be the change that we want to be. Yes.
And also there is a depletion of the ozone layer, as you were saying. As the smokes are moving up, there is a depletion of the ozone layer that affects we the humans on this.
Yes, we know that the ozone layer is this layer which is responsible for actually shielding us from the harmful rays of the ultraviolet rays of the sun. Yeah. Because now this layer is being depleted, now we are getting a direct burn from the sun.
Exactly.
Yes, instead of we being shielded, because it is gradually depleting, now we are getting a direct burn from the sun. Yes. And also looking at things that we can do to curb these practices, we can also plant more trees. Yes. As we said before, trees take in the carbon dioxide that we release into the atmosphere. If you plant more trees, the more cooler the earth becomes. Yes, yeah. Because you realize if you are sitting in your house and then you move to go and sit under a tree, how do you feel?
Cool. It's cool.
You see the temperature around the tree is very cool, yes, as compared to your room. And then you see the houses that are built with the cement blocks, they actually retain heat. So if we also take up the habit of building with the red bricks emit heat. Instead of absorbing them, they emit them. So as the sun is shining, they don't retain the heat, so that they will be releasing it in the night that you want to be comfortable and then be sleeping. You see, now because we live in the cement buildings, when the sun shines during the day. In the evening that we are about to sleep, and we need a cool
That's when the
temperature to
heat
relax.
starts.
That is when the heat is now released. So the room becomes, you come out, you are outside, you enter your room, and the room is very
So
hot.
hot,
Even
yes.
after you've taken a shower, you still feel very warm in your room, and it's very difficult for us to sleep. It even causes insomnia for some people.
Yeah.
So when they go to bed, they are not able to sleep. They wake up in the morning when they are supposed to be ready for work. You see, you feel tired, sleepy. You go to work, you're not able to put out your best at the workplace.
Yeah, exactly. And then this insomnia you just talked about, in the first segment, you talked about noise pollution. That is also an effect of noise pollution, because when you live in an area where there are big factories and then they are always making noise, you just can't sleep. And then it also causes insomnia.
Like the effects that we're also talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We looked at the fact that it's a great harm to human beings. It's a very great harm to human beings. So what are some of the things that we can do personally? We've looked at general ways. What can we do in our own ways to help global warming to be reduced?
I would say we should stop bush burning.
Okay.
One. And then, like Belinda said, we should plant more trees as we cut them down. And then the use of solar to produce energy and the use of wind more than the use of oil and gas to produce the electricity.
And as not everybody will be able to afford the brick houses, but we should try and do something about it. We should try and buy them and build with them. That will also help us with the heat.
So
to
looking
reduce
at,
heat and
looking at this example, we see trying to explain how the greenhouse effect works. Looking at this scenario, you see when a car is parked under the sun for some time, the glass totally rolled up. After you open the door to enter the car, how do you feel?
The heat.
And are you able to stay in that heat?
No.
So when you open your car, what do you first do?
You
you have
just
to roll them down.
for fresh air.
Why would you do that?
Because you can't stay in the heat. 'Cause it's
Unless
so
you have
hot.
AC in your car.
You know, that is how the earth is now.
And then even the AC, you have to wait a little for the fresh air to come in before you put on the
Yes,
AC.
I'm using this scenario to make us know how the earth looks like now.
Yes.
So because now the gas, which is forming a blanket and then blocking the heat from finding its way into the space, now this heat is trapped in between the blanket and then the earth. It means that all this heat which hits the earth from the sun rays, which is supposed to find its way back into the space, it is saturated on the earth. That is how it feels when you close your car for some time and then you open it. So it means we are feeling that way in the car. So we are now representing the earth, the space in between the earth and then the blanket, like the car. What is happening in the car? It means we are staying in that suffocation as at now. So every heat that comes, it's not able to penetrate back into space. So we are living in that atmosphere. So you can imagine the kind of harm it is causing to us. Because when we enter the car and it's like that, we try to bring the glass down or open the car so that fresh air would enter. Yes, to make the whole thing equal. The heat goes out, the fresh air comes in. So now the environment becomes cool for you to be able to be comfortable. That is what is happening on Earth as at now.
Yes.
That's why people are suffocating, and then because of the smoke and other people are getting respiratory diseases and a whole lot.
To add up to what we discussed in the first segment again about air pollution,
Environmental pollution.
my main focus would be on those who mostly drive, like the taxi drivers and the trotro drivers. What I would say is they should always make sure they have a checkup on their car, because the smoke that comes from the exhaust pipes, the carbon monoxide, is very harmful, because when you breathe that in, maybe within a month, it's possible you might get respiratory diseases. So those who normally drive should make sure they have regular maintenance of their cars so that they stop polluting the air with the carbon monoxide from the exhaust pipes.
Even on the water bodies aspect, there is a saying that water is life, and these are the waters that flows through our pipes each and every day. So we should make sure when someone is polluting the water, we should try avoiding those people, because at the end of the day, we will all face the same problem.
Because we be the same people benefiting from that water.
And we can even get some diseases such as cholera, malaria, and
Diarrhea.
end up in hospitals. So we have to also check up on our people.
I'd like to take your last words on global warming and then go from the beginning and then talk about environmental pollution. I want to take your last words on it, Adra.
As I've said, we should be the change that we want. So if we want to prevent all these things, it has to come from us first.
Okay.
We should be disciplined, and then we have to try and stop all these things, because there are certain things we know we do which is wrong. So if you are doing it, if you are putting down a polythene bag and you know it's wrong to drop it, just keep it in your bag, like you said. When you get to a place where there's a dustbin, you put it inside. It will be safe for all of us if we tune our mind to it.
Yeah, people usually use chemicals for fishing. They use chemicals for fishing, thinking that they will get a lot of fish at the end of the day, but not knowing that as they are getting more fishes, they are killing their fingerlings too. So our advice our people, especially those fishermen, those
and
who
then
work
the farmers to
also
stop the use of fertilizers
fertilizers in their agriculture.
No, they can actually use fertilizer, but I think it should be reduced.
Yeah,
Because of the
Okay,
nitrogen oxide that it
that
produces,
is,
it should be
yeah.
reduced.
Yeah.
Because
Reduced, yeah.
the fertilizers also help in the growth of our crops.
Yes.
Some people, they use it, as you are saying, they overuse them.
Yeah.
They overuse them.
Yes.
Each and every day they are applying fertilizers to their crop.
So a reduction in the fertilizer will help.
uses, yes.
Okay.
So that is what I have for my people.
Okay, what I also add is that the noise pollution, one way or the other, personally, we harm ourselves, especially our hearing. Some of us listen to music on high volumes, we plug headphones in our ears, and then we open our music volumes very high.
not thinking about the other people around us.
Yeah, sometimes even when you are increasing it, your phone prompts you that this is very high for your ears, but some of us do
Don't
not pay
care.
heed to it. And it harms us. It is not sudden for you to see the harm. It takes time before you see the harm on your hearing. And then also, if we find out, those of us who work in industries, we find ourselves in such places, we work with a lot of noise because of the heavy machinery, we should bear in mind to always remember to put on our
Headphones.
the headphones, yes, to help us, not to be harmed by these noise.
Gradually, we've come to an end of today's episode. And we thank you all viewers for staying tuned till this time. And you shouldn't forget this program airs every Thursday at 9:10 a.m. and 4:10 p.m. And you can catch a repeat on Saturday 9:10 a.m. and 4:10 p.m. You can follow us on our social media handles, that is the Daily Trend at the Daily Trend TDT, and YouTube, New World TV, the Daily Trend playlist. We shall see you guys next week. Bye-bye.